So first, paste. Hello world. This is my first paste. We'll just give it, I don't know, C. Create paste, and if there's some code there, copy. You can see going up the URL there. Little looks good there. Raw, great. And if we want to edit, we haven't actually taken a look at the edit page. Okay, looks reasonable. Paste, but edited. Save changes. Cool. So if I go to this, and I open up incognito real quick, paste this in here. Looks great. Raw and highlighted. All looks good. Created by me. Okay.
Hello builders, my name is G. We're going to do another tutorial series here. I've reflected a lot in how I do tutorials and walkthroughs on my channel, and the thing that I've really wanted to emphasize, how development is going to be done, not just now, but going into the future. It's going to be with more AI tools than with less, in my opinion. And whether it is at the most basic version, which is like cursor autocomplete, to something more sophisticated like Claude Code, I think that it's most important to start incorporating AI into my tutorials. So what I'm going to be doing here today, a Pastebin clone. So I have no clue what that is. So I'm just literally going to ask, what is Pastebin and what would an MVP clone of it entail? So let's take a look. So Pastebin is a very simple website. Okay, people can paste text, code, note, logs, error message, click a button, and get a unique shareable link to that text. It's commonly used by developers to share snippets quickly without sending files. That is super interesting. So some of the things, like without using AI, how I would implement this, right? And maybe let me try to find, so just being in Excalidraw here real quick, how I would probably think about this. So we're using Next.js, right? And let me just zoom in so that it's easier for you to see, right? So we're using Next.js. So one of the things that we do is we have URL-based routing, right, with the app router. And so basically what I can envision is having, right, so app, we'll do /app, right, so that's at the app level. This will be the landing page. So any unauthorized users, they'll just end up in the landing page. Then, and let me left align this, /app/ login, right? So you have a login page, makes sense, right? /app/create. So this will be the logged in home page, right? So we want authenticated users to be able to provide this. There we go. Kind of makes sense so that we don't just have anybody, but also allow for users to save whatever links that they create. Or, oh, actually, you know, that might be should be a dashboard. Okay, so maybe this is not the home page, this is just the create. So this won't be the logged in home page, this will be the create page, makes sense. We'll do app/list, and this will be the authenticated home page, right? And what's going to be inside of this is the list of past URLs so that you can resend them, and then option to create new URL, and then /app/ like a user ID here, which Better Off will automatically generate, and then probably like a URL here, right? So when we create a page, whatever text the user is passing in, a unique URL will be created in the schema that'll be attached to it. And then given the user, when they're logged in, they'll have a user ID. So, you know, the domain in how it looks, right? So www. Pastebin, let's just use their URL As an example, pastebin.com slash, put user ID here and then slash URL here. So it's a little bit long. This would be the basic version of how I do it. There's also like a tiny URL optimization that could probably be done, right? But this is probably the easiest way, because what we'll do is just create, between the user ID and the URL here, when you get to this page, what it's going to do is just grab that from the database based off of the user ID and the URL. We could also, enhance this by having, a specific email being connected to the URL, so that we have a list of all of the emails that are authorized to actually take a look at it, so you can make it secure. You can add team members, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things that we can do to enhance this, basic thing, basically a little bit of a lesser Slack, right? Because that's just a way for people to send things to each other. So interesting. We'll see how how AI tackles this, because obviously this is how I would do it, but we'll see how AI decides to do it. So let's go back to here, because ChatGPT. So input text, save to database, generate URL. Anyone with the link can view the text. Okay, so they say no accounts required, no editing, no complexity. So if you wanted to remove the login, right, you'd have the landing page, probably just have a text box, and when you hit create, it just creates that and a URL. I could see a lot of potential abuse, because someone could just spam your database, and because there's no user, you're just adding a lot there. So I might want to provide authorization, just so that you don't get, absolutely demolished in database spend trying to hold random pieces of text that someone might provide. But sure, I can see like a large text area within the text box. Create paste button, sure. View page, okay, /p, interesting. Expiration option, I didn't think about that. But then that would require like a cron job in, beyond us using Vercel, where Vercel is just what is visually available plus some basic CRUD operations. We would need to spin up something in AWS or Azure for us to run a cron job every, depending on the times here and whatever times we want to allow for expiration. Be like every 10 minutes, clean it up. Every hour, every day, every week, clean up the ones that are expired. So this is certainly quite interesting to see what ChatGPT is suggesting here, but I think that, just from what I'm seeing here, like similar to what I'm providing here, I think that's what I'm probably going to push it towards, just because, I trust all of you, but I don't trust some people. The other people who might spam URLs, pollute the database, and, leave me with a massive bill. And I'm sure, something basic like Pastebin, it's more of people being mischievous than actually trying to hack it. But yeah, let's avoid that. So we'll have to use authorization. And let's see, anything else that's too major that I need to think about? Input text page, yes. Paste / generate URLs, makes sense. Paste view page, okay, yeah, should be fairly basic. Don't have to make it look too nice. Also should have like a little copy button so that someone can easily copy. Expirating, syntax highlighting, dark mode, yes, those are all quite nice to haves. Maybe we'll see how good AI does at that. Accounts plus history, password protected paste editing, and API for posting programmatically. That's interesting. But I think probably accounts plus history, because that's what we were describing. Password protected pastes, what you would do is probably just go into the schema and where we're storing the URL plus the connection to the user, you would just add the password that someone creates to it. Probably will have to run some form of encryption so that a user's password isn't inadvertently revealed in the database and whatever. So we just want to keep things secure for people, but we'll see how far we get and if that's necessary. But I think definitely this and then these 4. So cool. Let me jump into Claude Code, and I'll be doing it with VS Code so we can have the code be big on screen and go from there. Alright, so taking a quick pit stop here over at GitHub. The main thing that I wanted to go over here is the walkthrough starter template. So as we go through and are building our Pastebin clone here, we're going to be starting off from this starter template. The main tech stack in this is Next.js, gRPC, Neon, Drizzle, Betteroth, and Shadcn UI components. That's what we're going to be using. Just wanted to let you know that this is what we're going to be using. I'm going to put a link to this down in the description down below. Please yell at me in the comments if I forget. And we can now go over to VS Code and get started. Okay, everyone, we are finally in VS Code, and I just wanted to put on a prop real quick since we're going to be building a website here. So, safety first. A little cute prop that I found here that I thought would be interesting. Some company logos, hopefully, more companies I start or invest in. I'll be sticking them on the hard hat here. But the thing that we're going to be working on today, we are going to be using git clone to grab from walkthrough-starting-point.git paste bin clone. We're going to be getting all of our stuff from our starting point repo and getting this project ready. Whoops. There we go. And now let me open it. Okay, so there it is. Let me open this up. And we got to resize everything. There we go. And we're all good. So let me grab the initial prompt that I created. I'm going to start up Claude here. And I'll link in the comments down below, or yell at me if I forget, a link to the documentation for where you can learn to install, how to install Claude. I'll probably actually create a unlisted video, and I'll link it in the description down below. Yell at me in the comments if I forget on how to install it, but it's pretty straightforward. The only thing that I think some people get hung up on is that when you initially authenticate with Claude, you link it to, I believe, either your API account, which is like your utilities style billing, or the Claude client, which is what I personally use, where you pay in yearly installments. You can choose either, but once you authenticate, sometimes there will be a 404 error for the first time, where it says it can't authenticate. Usually, if you just hit Control-C, you can see here, Control-C, Control-C, you'll exit out, and then you can hit Claude to restart things, and you'll be back in. So, just in case you run into that issue with authenticating for the first time, that's how you fix it. So cool. So I'm just going to bring in my Google Docs real quick here and just showcase the prompt that I'm going to be using. Sorry for it being super bright. We're going to ask it to take a look at the current project and readme.md to gain context, then generate a claude.md file to build a Pastebin clone named paste, link, and send. Just the name so that I don't use Pastebin as the name for the project. Based on the following requirements of the must-have: marketing landing page plus login page, text input page which will be the home page for authenticated users, ability to create, paste, and generate URLs. URLs will be in the format of domain name / user ID / paste ID. We're going to have a paste view page. All data will be stored in and retrieved from database, obviously. and we will have accounts plus history. So that's the prompt that I'm using. So I'm just going to copy this. We're back in our VS Code. I'm just going to paste this stuff in here. And you might be wondering what Claude.md is before I continue. So just like how we have a readme.md, so this is a markdown file. It just has special styling so that when we opened it up in GitHub, you saw a little bit of styling related to some of the text within the markdown file. So such as this pound symbol and this double pound symbol, it changes the sizing of this text. And so you just reformat things a little bit prettier with .md files. The Claude.md file is special to Claude Code, where basically the AI agents will periodically take a look at Claude.md to gain context and receive instructions that you might provide, especially the ones that we may provide at the start, along with anything that we may tell it to add along the way. For example, if I don't like it using a certain piece of code, an example would be like Claude Code loves to use any. I would like it to just create the type instead of using as any or setting a variable to be of type any. And so I might provide that instruction if I start seeing it do that a lot. And let's say that we quit out of this project and, want to start working on it tomorrow. Well, we're going to have to shut down Claude Code and restart it tomorrow. And so we can always tell it to take a look at Claude.md to gain an understanding of what's going on and to populate our to-do list to continue development. So it's a great kind of internal working document within our repository that will keep our AI systems up to date and so that it can continue developing for us. So I'm going to hit enter here. Within the terminal. And we'll let it run. And so it's going to be going through doing a lot of tool calls. This is a read tool call. That's a list tool call. You can hit Control R to expand it and be able to see whatever it's looking at. So in that case, it was looking at, I believe, the package.json along with a bunch of other stuff. Sorry, this is the latest one. Yeah, read package.json. This list, unfortunately, since it skips down, we're not able to Control R it. But, in the process, that's how you can look at it as it's working on something. If you're in VS Code, for example, if we want to make some form of write, it will ask us by default for permission to do this. And if you're in VS Code, it'll open it up and we can take a look at it in here. So this will be our Claude.md, paste, link, and send, which is a Pastebin clone. And we already know most of the stuff about it. But, we just want to make sure that everything looks reasonable and correct. Better off with Google. GitHub OAuth makes sense. TanStack query, ShedCN components. Yep. So must-have features. What I basically put in the must-haves. Partially implemented, so it's good. It's evaluated what exists in the project and what work we're going to need to be doing. Great. Compelling landing page showcasing the service. Text input page needs to be developed. Paste creation plus URL generation. So that's the format. So we need to generate unique paste IDs, store the paste contents in the database, return a shareable URL, provide support for different paste types, plain text, code, etc. Good. Paste view page. So that's the route that we provided here. Display paste content with proper formatting, show metadata. Great. Syntax highlighting for code, copy to clipboard functionality, raw text view option. All seems reasonable. We have some needed tables, so it's just providing the schema here. Makes sense. Authentication partially implemented. User dashboard showing paste history, ability to edit and delete own pastes. Pagination for large histories, search within user pastes. So all makes sense there. And then it has an implementation plan what the file structure should look like. Let's just see. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Dashboard slash page.tsx. I don't think... Okay, I see what it's saying. So this dashboard will be for the history, and then this home page here will be for the paste creation. Okay, and then these are all the environment variables that we're going to need. So again, if you look at the link in the comments down, or not the comments, the description down below, you'll see the original tutorial where I created the starting point, where if you need help figuring out how to get these environment variables, it's all in that tutorial. I'm not going to repeat it for the people who either already know how to do it or have already done it, the previous tutorial with me. And so, just check it out in the description down below and you'll be able to figure that out. So you can see that, as I summarize through most of this, you can see it's a structured way so that, if I have to quit out of this, and I will be quitting out of this at some point because it is getting late, and when I come back to this project, I'll have a starting off point because I'll just tell Claude.md, I'll ask Claude Code to read the Claude.md, understand what's going on, what the present state is, and to populate the to-do list to start working again. And when I end off for the night, I will tell it to update the documentation so that we know what points we are at and what needs to be done next. So one of the things you might have noticed is that there aren't any particular instructions, and that might be something that I'm going to be working on going forward, especially with what I notice in this project, but also, I might add a couple from my existing projects because I usually ask it to add a bunch of instructions. So I'll just grab a few, and I think what I'm going to do is just include it inside of the readme.md, and I'll create a little AI section and tell it, because I always ask it to read the readme, it'll see the AI section and copy over the instructions that it should be following. So, great. This Claude.md looks perfectly fine. So I'm going to hit yes for it, and you can see that it's created it here. So that's one of the benefits of working within VS Code, not just in the terminal in and of itself, that it basically, you can see it editing in real time. You can also see the file structure and work from there. Because honestly, as it's building sometimes, unless you have it, really small text, and obviously in this tutorial I want to make it big so that everyone can read it, but sometimes when it's generating, you'll just see the bottom part and you have to scroll all the way to the top to read it, and there's no really button press anywhere to skip to the top. Don't know if they'll add that in the future. I don't really know how they would, but with VS Code, it starts on the top and then works its way down, right? Obviously, so makes it easier for us to go through and review things. So now that we have this, I'm going to ask it to, can you create a to-do list based on our implementation plan? So we'll just have it run that. And hopefully, there we go. So we have a list of to-dos here. All seems reasonable. Okay. So it always loves to break things into different phases, and I'm happy that sometimes it'll say it'll take 3 weeks to finish this part, and another 2 weeks to finish phase 2 or whatever. It didn't create any dates this time, so consider that lucky. But yeah, I'm just gonna say okay. Let's work through our to-do list, item by item, please. So this is the great part about vibe coding, just hanging out, letting it run, do its thing. And yeah, I mean, if this is the future of construction, the white hat is correct because I'm the foreman. I'm just basically sitting here and waiting. So basically asked to add UUID here, I think that seems. Is it gonna add it as a UUID? Okay, we'll accept it. We're just letting AI work, so I don't think I'll be providing much intervention, just because I'll provide my feedback for the second part, the quote unquote formal walkthrough. So yeah, I think all of this looks familiar and seems reasonable, right? So as you can see there, once it generated, you can actually kind of see like it just shows the bottom portion, but with VS Code shows the whole code file. So right there. As I'm working, I'm kind of realizing that there's going to be a lot of editing where basically I'm either going to have to speed this up or work through it. Now it did npm run db generate. I don't think that's the command. I mean, I can look in my package.json. This might be the first intervention in which I need to help it. So that is, it does not have the script in here, so I don't know why it's providing that. So I'll just tell it to do npx drizzle kit generate. These are console commands, console commands. So I'm not too miffed about helping it out with those. Might be working on some outdated knowledge. So we'll do drizzle kit generate, then we'll do push. So that should work. Oh, it needs to install. We need to do npm install first, so that we can get all of our package installed. So we just get cloned, we did not install. So nope. We need to do npm install. That'll install everything. So we already have .environment inside of our package.json. It should be in our dev dependencies, I believe. Wherever it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's in our regular dependencies. So yeah, instead of just installing this alone, we'll just install everything. So we'll run npm install. Take a little bit. Maybe provide a timer. See which one's faster. I'm going to assume AI, but also, yeah. As a little bit of a behind the scenes, you can see that this is all my Claude Code windows usually, and I'm running 3 of them at the same time, with this little window down here in the bottom right being the actual test window. So in case you were wondering how my usual workflow is, I'm usually working on 3 different projects at once, with the little preview in the bottom right, or bottom left to test things. So yeah. Oh, this happens sometimes where it skips back to the top for whatever reason. So yeah, unfortunately, we need to install everything. I guess I should have done that at the beginning. That's my bad. Okay. Continue. Okay, you don't really need to check, but sure. Okay. At least that was fast. Alright, we're going to push. Error. Oh, we need our environment variables. So I will add that real quick and be right back. Okay, so I just real quick added the .environment.local file here, and what goes inside of it, I created a real quick .environment.example with all of the things that, again, the tutorial down below will help you in getting all of these different things. This is the connection string that NeonDB will give you. These are the client ID and client secret that GitHub will give you to run OAuth with it. Same here for Google. Localhost 3000, you can just copy this down, and then you can generate a BetterAuth secret in the BetterAuth documentation. So we have that all set up now, and so we should be good to go back and basically go through here. And I did close out because I needed to go through and grab the environment variables. I closed out Claude. So as you can see here, I just told it to take a look back at claude.md, prepare the to-do list for development, The last thing that we left off on, just wanted to make sure that it got on it, which was pushing those schema updates to NeonDB, which reminded me that I needed to add in the environment variables and then tell it to populate this to-do list so I could review it. If it looks sensible, then we can start working. And it asks me if it looks sensible, and I say yes. So, great. Let's push the migration to NeonDB, then continue with development following the to-do list. So, great. Hope everyone's having a great day. Oh, that's not right. Run, nope, that's not right either. Run npx drizzle kit push. So again, happy to help it out with a little bit of some of the console commands. It's not reading it correctly. Let me check this real quick. Oh, it's because in our drizzle.config.ts we are not loading in the environment variables via the .environment package. Can you handle that, please? Then we can push. All right, let's see if I can do it. Yeah, that looks like what's correct. So it grabs that, loads it into this script that's going to be run here, this function, and we should be able to push now. I should actually add that to the walkthrough starting point, so that is my bad. I will go back and change that later. And I hate this, so I'm just going to fix this real quick. Always want to put the import statements up top. We don't need to do that, I believe, so they just want to take a look at it, I guess. I think we're good, but what I will do is just go over here and pull up the Neon console here, and you can see account, paste, session, user, and verification, which should match. If we go into DB in the schema here, we have user, session, account, verification, and paste. It's all in there and all loaded up into NeonDB. So I just checked everything pushed properly. You can move on. So sometimes with Claude Code, I'd rather do things manually than have it use some of the console commands, like opening up Studio, because I'm not 100% sure if it's able to adequately read that stuff. So let's see what it wants to do next. Creating the TRPC route for paste operations, so the CRUD operations, create, read, update, and delete. Sounds reasonable. So let's see if it's able to accomplish that. One of the things that I noticed that it does that I particularly do, it'll create the CRUD operations and then stick pretty rigidly to them. One of the ways that I deal with TRPC procedures is that whenever there's a page, that looks reasonable, for each one of the pages, so like home, login, and the landing page here, if there's a TRPC, like any type of data that needs to be pulled from the database, I'll shove it all into a single procedure. And I'll call that the pages router, and then all of the procedures for each of the pages will go inside of that. So, okay, they're adding in a relation there. Okay. Seems reasonable. Cool. They're creating the paste creation form component. One of the things that I want to be careful with this is to make sure that it uses the shadcn components. Okay, good. So they are using it. Next is to see if they're going to use React hook form with it, or if they just use like a base implementation. I personally don't care if it just works correctly. I'm not too in love one way or the other. Again, this is an MVP. Yep, it is using React hook forms. And this looks reasonable. They have all of these different options here. I can't, there isn't really a great way to do auto detection, so unless there's a library that handles that, I'm going to be a little bit worried about that. So make sure that we keep an eye on that and go from there. So everything else looks pretty reasonable. I wish it stayed open when it creates a component, because I'd still like to take a look at it. So they added, wait a second, what happened here? So they want to update the home page. Oh, okay, so this is the home page contents. Great, so removed all the base stuff and added in, create a new paste, and putting the form there, and then providing a header. Okay. Another thing, well, they made a mistake here. So the client is use client, or use TRPC. So we should be using use. Yep. Okay. Good. Figured that out. In another project, it couldn't figure it out for the life of it. So it was trying to export TRPC from our client. And right. So I'm using like the use TRPC syntax because it's a really good indication that it's a like it looks like a hook, right? And hooks are only used in client components, and so when we're applying it, I want to make it a total difference between importing just TRPC from the server side, right, and grabbing TRPC from the use TRPC hook and being able to use it, just so that we're not mixing up the two and using the server component one within a client component. So I don't like the fact that it uses any. I'll let it run, but then say I don't like that you used any, and I don't think, I'll say that, I don't think we need to type the error. Okay, so it blew past that, so I just want to make sure that it goes back and continues working on that. Paste view page here, they provide a little regex to check to see if it's a valid UUID. Okay, seems reasonable. Provided an error boundary, suspense. So error boundary, if there's any errors that are returned generally by our TRPC call, although there isn't any in here yet, then it'll showcase whatever's in this fallback. So they have just this, basic error message that's just going to pop up. Then they have the suspense here, which is for the loading portion. So we do have the basis here. I will probably provide another piece of feedback that we should try to prefetch anything. So yeah, that's the whole point of getting the being able to use like TRPC, is that when we're using a server component like this, we can prefetch on the server side. So unfortunately, not able to do that. Also, the use mutation syntax is wrong. So we'll go back and let it fix the any's. But like, I will also say that the use mutation syntax is wrong. So the syntax for the create paste mutation is wrong. You need to import use mutation from tan stack query, then call that function and pass the trpc.paste.create.mutation options. Blah, 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 blah. Right. So let's see if it's able to do that. If not, I might have to manually go in and do the syntax correctly. I'm always very interested why Claude makes this particular mistake. I can't really think of a reason why it would do that. Okay, so we're just creating another one of these. Again, the use mutation syntax is wrong, so once it fixes it for one, I'll go back and tell it to fix it for all the others. Hopefully it auto figures that out. Cool. So that's correct there. Pulling that import in at the top. Okay, use mutation options. Great. Looks good. Let's see if it yeah, okay. So it's going to fix the dashboard as well. Wonderful. Good stuff. Yeah, okay. And the same thing for use query. Great. Okay. Great that it caught that stuff. There are some other errors within paste form here. The resolver here, we have a type mismatch. Later on, we can just have it do npm run build, which will collect all of these errors, and then it can work its way through it. So changed is pending to, or from is loading to is pending. Okay. All right. How about I tell it to, okay, well, we're not going to test that because can you run npm run build and then fix any errors that arise? Because spoiler alerts, there are a few of them. Yeah, I think there's a type mismatch here between what's being provided. So we'll just see if it's able to catch all of it. Form.control. Alright, and I apologize for anyone who's not liking the little flickering that's going on. I'll just kind of minimize that down by the bottom there. So I apologize for anybody who's has like light sensitivity or whatever. I'm not 100% sure why it does that. So they provide defaults here. So the issue is with a form schema mismatch. Let's fix the, okay, that's definitely not the approach. Or, oh, okay, so it's fixing, I thought it was fixing the schema in DB. No, it's fixing the schema within the paste form schema, which kind of makes sense because here you don't want to provide default here because you can just provide the default values within this form. So it doesn't really make sense for you to put them with the Zod typing. So, okay. I agree with that. And look at that. That actually cleared up all of the other errors. So let's just run npm run dev or run build again. And then we can see if everything is running properly. Alright. I apologize again for the flashing. I have no clue why it does that. You know, Anthropic, small scrappy startup. They barely have enough money. So, you know, bear with them for a little bit. I mean, this might be a Microsoft issue or a VS Code issue, but I mean, you know, someone's got to build around the other. Okay. Yeah, so, okay, I did see this in a couple of other my projects that there were some Shadcn issues, so we can fix that there. I hope that there aren't any more, but there might be. So let me just close this out and we'll bring this full screen for now. Yeah, that's in the Shadcn for the calendar. It's one of the drawbacks of adding all of the components in Shadcn, because if there's a break and we haven't used the calendar component, then not the best. Sometimes if you're not using it, you can just bin it. You know, just open this up and delete the one that's causing you issues. If we're not using it, don't plan on using it. So, chart tooltip. I don't think that we even have a need for charts. So if this is causing us an issue, then not great. Okay, let's see what its recommended fix is. I don't even know what the problem is. Property payload does not exist. Oh, well, that doesn't sound good. To the type definition. What's the proposed fix? Okay, so it's going to provide payload of any array. Okay. Interesting. Wonder if that'll fix it. Whoops. Nope, terminal. There we go. We're going to do npm run dev again, or run build. We'll just keep it going until it fixes everything. Alright, it'll pop up with something once it finishes running. I'm half tempted to start playing Europa Universalis 5 while this is running. Holy crap, what are these? Label? Would that... I'm not happy about that. But I mean, if it fixes it, it fixes it. npm run build. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the flickering. I don't know what's causing it. I could quit out and then restart it just to see if that causes a problem. If not, then I'm gonna have to switch to the other terminal. Because I don't usually see this in the other terminal. So this might just be a VS Code thing. Yeah, okay. Let's just wrap up, and if there's no more issues, then I'll just I'll make this I'll restart and see if it's still doing this. And if it is, then I'll quit out and restart it in the terminal and do it essentially side by side. Because I'm sorry for this flickering. I know that it might be bothering some people's eyes. Okay, so it looks like it passed. So that's great. They're saying that everything is built successfully. So why don't I go over and open it up, and we can test it out, see if there's anything wrong, and any piece of feedback that we need to give to Claude Code so it goes back and fixes it. So we'll jump over to the browser. Okay, so I'm just putting up my terminal real quick because I'm going to warn everyone about the blindingly white background landing page here. So in 3, 2, 1, there's the landing page. It's the exact same one as the walkthrough. I don't think they changed it at all, so we're just going to log in real quick, and I'm going to go through the login. I'll be right back. And we're on the other end, and there was an error. So let's see here. Select.item must have a... okay, so we'll just copy this. Bring our VS Code back out here. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. And let me actually quit out of this and just open up Claude again and see if maybe this will fix it. So I'll say it. Tell it again. Take a look at the claude.md to get back up to speed. Populate the to-do list. Last we left off, I was manually testing what we had developed so far. And actually, one of the things that I realized is that I didn't, before I quit it out, I forgot to ask it to update the documentation. And what has been changed in the project to get back up to speed. Hopefully it takes a look at the git difference to figure out what has been changed. So let's see. Okay. So I'm really interested actually what that error was. Select.item. So like I don't know if it was a okay, so it's from pasteform.tsx. That's because the select value can be set to an empty string to clear the selection. Okay. Okay, so it can't be an empty string. So that's pretty much it. Okay, good. Yeah, so it used getDiff to see what was different. There we go. And so I will paste it in here. After login, this is the error I see on the, what page was it? On the, whoops, nope. On the home page. I will manually test things for you. So there we go. Alright, let's see if there's any flashing. Well, it seems to have a connection error, so not great. I think it's good now. Oh. Okay, so it does see the issue. There's a select component in the paste form that has an empty string value, which is not allowed. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that's a good change. I'll allow it. You know, a good thing that if you could do, if you've gotten this far in this tutorial, okay, yeah, that looks good, is if you have any background music that you'd recommend, I'd love to put some background music to this. I'm sure it's, you know, really riveting, even if I do, like, kind of take out all the parts where I'm just quietly waiting for AI to generate. You know, just have some background music. So if there's some copyright-free music that y'all really enjoy, then just put it down in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to try to add it. So okay, it says it fixed it. So back to the blinding light. I apologize. Oh, okay, great. Whew, we're in. So I'm actually gonna ask it. What tests would you like me to run? How would, what tests would you like me to run? Tell me the actions that are needed to perform the test and what the end result should look like. Or the end state would probably be the better way to put it. So end state would look like, there we go. If you're wondering what I'm doing while I'm working on this, it's the Patriots game. So, okay. So, back to actually working for a living. Paste creation on homepage. So go to the homepage, enter some text into the content area. I'll just copy this in. Optionally add a title, my first paste. Select the language, set expiration, toggle public-private setting if desired. Click create button, or create paste button. Well, you know, in a test, it is probably really important that it's not if desired, just tell me to do one or the other. And also if you're doing like a controlled test, right, a testing suite, then, you know, we'd probably be doing both. So let me paste this in. Hello, this is my first paste. First paste. And let's see here, plain language. It is in JavaScript, and never is fine, and public. Okay, so we will publish the paste. Okay, and this is the page, I believe. So if I were to copy this, if I were to leave, and then if I were to try to go back to it, oh wow, that's really cool. And can I copy this? And then, like, just to see up here. Look at that! And then what's raw? Oh, raw doesn't do anything. Okay. On the paste page, paste text page, when I hit raw, that page has, you know what, let me just run through the tests first before we go through that. So we'll just log that in our memory that there's some things that are not being done yet. So after checking that, verify the page loads correctly, check if content displays with proper formatting, note the URL format should be that, try copying the URL and opening in incognito/new tab. Oh, that's actually a good point. Because we can have that, and then let me just open up a incognito page here. I'll paste that in there. So we're not logged in. Everything looks good. Okay. So back to VS Code. Okay, dashboard/history. Is there a my pastes? Okay, look at that. It's stored in history. Create 2 or 3 more pastes and see if it exists. Okay. I'll hit create paste. Second paste. And then, whoops. Well, actually, providing the URL, that'd actually be pretty funny. So we will create this paste. Uh-oh. Failed to get session. Let me just check this. What happened here? Failed. Okay. I think this might have just been a connection error. So let me just try this again. Okay, there we go. Phew. Alright. Let's see. If we go back, I would like a way to go back to my pastes from that. But yeah, okay. Also, the content preview overlaps the language. So, I mean, this is a fix without implementing something new. So, I will just note that. So, I went through the tests. Everything seemed to pass. I'd like to fix some things. And first, on the dashboard, and looking at the table, and on the table displaying past pastes, the content preview can go beyond its column and overlap with another column. Okay, so we'll see how it fixes it. Maybe it truncates it. Maybe there's a width thing on the column. So we will check that out. Okay, so it's going to truncate it. It's exactly what I said. And there we go. Okay, properly truncated. I wonder how... Okay, so you would just probably click on this to see the whole thing. I wonder if we could just allow it to showcase a tooltip. Can we... you know, I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing. Just because, look, if the text is super long, like someone put a whole book into one of these pastes, right? Then we don't want the tooltip to just extend beyond the bottom of the screen. So, cool. I guess they're updating some other stuff here in the code. Everything should be fine. I don't know what it's continuing to do, but whatever. Alright, Claude is asking for a review. I actually think it's been doing pretty good. I think it actually one-shot this clone, so I think everything looks good. So let's continue on our to-do list. Everything looks good for what currently exists. Uh, what? Okay. Are we just testing now, or are there missing things to further develop? I believe that there should be some missing things, like that raw link out. So I'm going to move it from testing over to development. Implement the missing features. There we go. Okay, syntax highlighting. Uh-oh. All right. Okay. Seems fair. Okay. So I'm going to be fully putting my faith in AI here. I don't actually know how this library works. So we'll see if it looks right. Okay. I think it built the raw view. I think. We'll see. There's a TypeScript error. I mean, it's not showing up as an error, but I guess we'll let it run. Okay. Paste editing UI and functionality. Okay. Mobile responsiveness. That will be quite interesting. I might just ask it to create a full landing page. And I think that should be pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else that needs to be added to this MVP. So I think it was taking me about a couple hours to get this done. So feels pretty good.
Okay.
Oh, it's able to tell. Interesting. So I wonder if it's using IntelliSense from VS Code to figure that out. Can you run npm run build and fix any errors? This is weird. I've never seen this before. Found one diagnostic issue in one file. Hit R to expand. Okay. Interesting. This is new. Oh, did it just cleanly build? What? There doesn't seem to be a TypeScript error there. That's so weird. Okay. Little hallucination right there. Caught on 4K. Just kidding. Alright, the edit page. I don't know if we need an edit page. Can we not edit it in line? I feel like it's kind of heavy weight to have to create a whole new edit page for that. But I guess it makes sense because you don't want the the user who's receiving it to edit it, so it doesn't make sense for it to be on that line. So, okay. Okay. Why are we adding React? Okay. Are we using something from React? No? You just okay, maybe there was something in there that needed React. Weird. I'll probably tell it to can you also make a marketing landing page for this project? So hopefully it finishes up all the mobile modifications that need to be done and then goes back and does the marketing landing page. Even it comments, this is very basic. Yeah, that's fair. I think what I'm going to do is just go back to this real quick and sign out. So it goes out to login. We should just go out to here. Okay. No. First of all, first it's 2025. Then, also not, don't specify it's built with Next.js shed CN. It's built with love by me. Technically not, but but yeah. So let's see this landing page. Looks nice, doesn't it? I think everything looks great. Wow. Goes to login. Get started goes to login as well. Sharing view demo. We should create a demo page that doesn't belong to any user, but is shown when the user clicks on the demo button on the landing page. Cool. Great. Well, actually, I guess I'd have to see what the demo one looks like, but yeah, pretty much everything goes to the login. Also, we have a extra button with getting started if it goes to the same place as the sign in button. All right. Okay, we'll take a look at the demo page. That's awesome. Copy code, raw text, highlighted. Look at that. Sign in to create your own. That's really great. Quite impressed. AI does really well with front end. So it struggles a little bit with back end, but I mean, this looks wonderful. It looks way better than anything that you could probably build with like Squarespace or any of the others. And it's just same thing as like any Lovable or VO, but I'm able to control the back end stuff a little bit easier than some of those tools. So yeah, this goes to demo. Getting started takes you to login, demo, and login. Wonderful. And I guess it has two things here in the footer as well. I think we should remove the sign in and view demo links in the landing page footer. They're a bit redundant. Okay. Cool. Let's go back to the landing page. And it's gone. They centered everything. Everything looks good. I'm going to log in real quick. And we can check out... is there anything else to test? I think we should be good. Are there any missing features? Or have we fully satisfied the requirements? I'll ask it. I don't remember. So let's have it do its comprehensive check. We should be almost done. Okay, looks like we've got everything. There's a search functionality. Can you update the readme.md with the information about this project and include some of those proposed future features? I think what I'll say is that I'll go into the README after this, and I'll set viewership target goals on the video. So if both parts total up over a certain amount, then I'll go and, have the upgrades built, whatever those upgrades may be. So, yeah. Alright, it adds more stuff there. Okay. Alright, I think we're looking good. So, just to go through the project after the login, I'll be right back. And we're logged in. So, let's see if my paste still exists. Let me just actually test the deleting. And so we'll just start fresh, right? So, first, paste. Hello, world. This is my first paste. We'll just give it, I don't know, C. Create paste, and if there's some code there, copy. You can see going up to the URL there. Looks good there. Raw, great. And if we want to edit, we haven't actually taken a look at the edit page. Okay, looks reasonable. Paste, but edited. Save changes. Cool. So if I go to this and I open up incognito real quick, paste this in here. Looks great. Raw and highlighted. All looks good. Created by me. Okay. Seems reasonable. And then if we want to create a new paste, call this one second paste. And I'll just be lazy and write second paste in here. Plain text. Send it in there. Raw and highlighted. Should be the exact same. Create new paste. I'll actually go into our VS Code here. We'll just grab a chunk here. Just copy component. We'll paste this in here. And then, let's see, TypeScript. There we go. So we will create this paste. And look, it's all formatted. And you can get the raw text as well. And we are all looking good here. My pastes, view, everything looks a-okay. So hopefully you learned how to use a lot of these AI tools to be able to build a cool and interesting project, working through my workflow on how I actually go out and build different projects. Now what I'm going to go do is conduct a code review of all the things that AI generated, compile it down into what I think is a good beginner-friendly tutorial slash walkthrough, really a walkthrough of how to build this Pastebin clone and go through that entire process. So that'll be in part 2, more structured, less laid back than I am literally not watching a football game on my phone as AI is building. So do look out for part 2 if you're interested to see maybe what are the differences between this bit of code and that. And you'll see in the description down below as well, yell at me if I forget, the link to the GitHub holding the AI generated code. So thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, subscribe if it brought you value. And if G can build with AI, so can you. I want to see all the cool creations that you do in the description down or in the comments down below. Maybe you make your own, upgrade to the project or fork it and do something really cool and interesting. I'd love to see it in the comments down below. We're all just trying to learn here, build cool products, hopefully make a little bit of money, and, improve our own lives. So thank you so much for watching. Until part 2, and until my next walkthrough. Thank you so much for watching.